Now, when little white lies aren't so little.
Roughly 1/3 of Canadians have lied to their insurance company at some point, and those lies can add up. Insurance fraud costs Canadians $3 billion a year and is a major factor behind climbing auto insurance rates. March is Fraud Prevention Month. Joining us this morning is InsuranceHotline.com's Anne-Marie Thomas. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
To talk about this. So, Fraud Month, or Fraud, Prevention Month. Mm-hmm. Tell me how big a problem this is. Obviously, we just rhymed at $3 billion. It's a problem, but how widespread it is.
It's national. So if you take it right down to your policy level, for example, 15% of your premium goes to fraud, goes because insurance companies are paying out claims that they really shouldn't be paying out because they're fraudulent.
Tell me about some. We'll deal with auto, I guess, insurance first, but just some of the common fraud cases that you have to deal with.
So if people, when people think of fraud, you typically think of a huge, organized kind of a ring, but there are smaller types of insurance fraud that people commit, and we don't even really think of them as being fraud. For example, telling your insurer, oh, I don't drive to work. My car sits, I take TTC or I take other kinds of transit, and the truth is that you drive 50 kilometers one way to work. That's to a degree insurance fraud.
Yeah.
Right? So if you think about it, your insurance premium is based on a premise of utmost good faith. And what that means is that your insurance company promises to pay out any claims that you might have in the event of a loss. In exchange, you promise to be honest with your insurance company. And your premium is based on a certain number of risk factors. Now, if you say you're driving 50 kilometers, your premium is a little bit larger because the risk is bigger. But if you're saying that you're not driving to work, but you are, your premium doesn't match the insurance company's risk.
Primary driver.
Primary driver. This is, I get a lot of emails at InsuranceHotline.com about this. People say, should I put my son's car in my name to make the insurance less? Right? Well, from an insurance company perspective, the application asks you to list all drivers in the household. Well, if you have the same number of drivers and the same number of vehicles, your son or younger child is going to be made what they call a principal operator of that vehicle regardless.
Yes, so you can't put your name on both of those cars.
And it doesn't do to lie to an insurance company. It's, omitting.
They can find out. I mean, they could
absolutely
do an investigation.
Omitting tickets and accidents. There's a database that has all of this information, and the majority of it is tied to your license number. So insurance companies run this. They see, oh, they didn't tell us about 2 claims that they had. Your credibility is shot. You could be canceled for non-disclosure. And even if they don't find out, in the event of a claim, through the course of the claims investigation, they can find this out, and you may find yourself without coverage.
Wow. Okay, so let's move from auto to home. So what would be some of the fraud claims in terms of home?
So fraud statements in a home, people don't think about this. For example, your home insurance policy extends liability typically for one family. Well, in a lot of places, you have 2 families living in the same home. Maybe you have a separate area in the basement with a separate kitchen or something where your in-laws are staying, or you have a separate family living there who are related to you. That is an additional exposure for the insurance company that they should be made aware of, because the liability portion of your policy covers all members of the household worldwide. And so that's a huge exposure for an insurance company, and the premium should match their risk. So if they think you have 4 people in the household, but you actually have 8, that's double the liability exposure on the insurance company, and they're receiving sort of half the premium for it.
And then those claims that at the end of the day, we all end up paying for.
And that's it. As I mentioned off the top, 15% and it comes right down to our policy level, 15% of our premiums go toward insurance fraud.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. March is the month, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
You'll find more information about insurance fraud. That'll be on our website, canadaam.ctvnews.ca. Up next on the show,